Hey everyone, and welcome. Now, as a future pharmacist, you know you're going to be on the front lines getting all sorts of questions about plant-based products. But when a patient asks about them, what are they really talking about? Is it an ancient tradition, or is it cutting-edge modern science? Today, we're diving into a class of drugs that lives right at that crossroads. I mean, really think about it for a second. A patient walks up to your counter with something that comes from a plant. Is it a traditional remedy that's been passed down for generations, or is it a medicine that's been through rigorous modern testing? The lines can get really blurry, and that's the exact confusion we're going to clear up today. So what's the answer? Well, it lies in this term, phytopharmaceuticals. And listen, this is not just some fancy new name for herbal medicine. Oh no. This is a totally distinct, regulated, and scientific category of drugs, and it demands a completely different kind of conversation with your patients. Okay, let's break this official definition down, because for you, as a future clinician, there are two words here that are absolutely critical: purified and standardized. This means we are not talking about just a raw plant with all its natural ups and downs. Nope. We're talking about a consistent, reliable medicine where every dose is controlled and the effect is predictable. And if you want to know just how serious the science is here, get this. To even be called a phytopharmaceutical in India, a drug has to have at least 4 identified bioactive compounds, the active ingredients, that are precisely measured. This isn't just winging it. This is hardcore chemistry that makes sure every single batch is going to have a consistent, repeatable therapeutic effect. So let's get into the key differences you absolutely need to know for your practice, because counseling a patient on one of these drugs is worlds away from talking about some over-the-counter herbal product you'd find in a health food store. Okay, on one side, you have phytopharmaceuticals. They have to go through the exact same kind of tough, evidence-based clinical trials as any other drug to prove they're safe and that they actually work. Then, on the other side, you have traditional remedies. Now, they're often valued for their long history of use, and they follow a completely different regulatory system, like Ayush in India. It's really the difference between clinical data and tradition. And this distinction right here, this one is even more critical for you day to day. You see, unlike dietary supplements, which are legally forbidden, they cannot claim to treat or cure a disease, phytopharmaceuticals are actually approved to make specific therapeutic claims. They're evaluated and dispensed as medicine, not regulated like a food product. That is a massive, massive difference. So how does a piece of a plant earn the right to make those kinds of specific claims? Well, it has to run what I like to call the regulatory gauntlet, a super tough approval process that holds these drugs to a very high standard, one that should sound pretty familiar to you. Just look at this path. It pretty much mirrors how any new synthetic drug is developed. It kicks off with intense chemistry and manufacturing controls, then moves into preclinical lab and animal studies, and then, the big one, it has to face human clinical trials. Only after it clears all of those hurdles can it get approved by regulators like the CDSCO as a new drug. And just so you know, this isn't happening in a vacuum. This whole science-first approach to botanical medicine, it's a global trend. Over in Europe, the European Medicines Agency has its own dedicated committee for this stuff, building a similar framework for well-characterized, evidence-based botanical drugs. Okay, enough of the regulatory stuff. Let's make this real. What are some actual examples? What does this look like when it goes from a plant in a field to a product you might actually hand over the counter? Well, there are already approved products out there. Things like an ointment made from green tea catechins for genital warts, or highly standardized St. John's wort extracts for depression that have gone through proper clinical trials. And the pipeline is just getting bigger, with really exciting research coming out on plants like ginkgo biloba and silanorine. Which, of course, brings us to the future. And it is so important to see this as not just a step back to old traditions, but as a huge leap forward into a brand new frontier for drug discovery. This quote really nails the unique scientific idea here. You see, instead of just pulling out one single molecule, the whole goal is to harness what's called multi-component synergies. It's this idea that several compounds working together as a team can be way more effective than any single one alone. But, and this is the key part, it's all done inside a reproducible, standardized, and clinically proven product. And the innovation here is happening in some of the toughest areas in medicine: chronic inflammation, metabolic diseases, even supportive care in oncology. And the tools they're using are absolutely cutting edge. We're talking AI that helps predict how plant compounds will work in the body, green extraction techniques, and even nanocarriers for better drug delivery. This is serious stuff. So, as you get ready to start your career, I'm just going to leave you with this question. For centuries, we've looked to nature for our cures. But now, armed with the full power and rigor of modern science, we're doing it with more precision and more potential than ever before. The next breakthrough drug you dispense, it just might have its roots, quite literally, in the natural world.